Hello viewers, welcome to my Doctor Who themed YouTube channel, Who Ventures. And in this video I'm reviewing Doctor Who Series 11 Episode 9, It Takes You Away. And the writer is Ed Hime. So first of all, I want to give this episode 10 out of 10. I love it. It was an amazing episode, I really enjoyed it. And it's one of my favourite sci-fi sort of fantasy concepts of mirror worlds. I've often had moments where I've just looked in the mirror and looked at what I thought what it would be like to live in the mirror world where everything's opposite. And sometimes I've been fascinated by how you look at a mirror and you can see around the corner inside your mirror, and I've always like, how does that work? Like, you can see around the corner, and I thought, so I've always loved mirror worlds and mirror sort of portals as portals. I thought I loved it. So they are a nice fjord. Graham says, oh, nice fjord, and it's modern day, present day. And then the Doctor is figuring out exactly where they are, and she's eating the soil. I love that. That's a new thing the Doctor does. She eats the soil. I thought that was fun. And then she starts, there's a sheep that pops up, and he's just popped up. She sonics him and says, make sure that they're not in the time of the Woolly Rebellion. And it was a utter bloodbath. I think she might have said utter bloodbath. And that reminds me of the movie Black Sheep, which is an amazing movie. It's just lots of weird sheep and sheep attacking and eating people, and it's an excellent movie. So that's what that Woolly Rebellion reminded me of. And then she also mentioned there's alpaca farm and a gift shop. I thought that was fun. I love gift shops. And then Graham is talking about how him and Grace have considered visiting Norway. And then they find this cabin, and it's all got loads of boards nailed to the walls around it. And then they go into the cabin to see if someone's inside, and the Doctor's having a look inside to check, and it's quite suspenseful. And then they find kids' shoes, and Yaz is with the Doctor, and Ryan and Graham are sort of following behind, and they find some sweet wrappers. Then Ryan and Graham explore being and they found sweet wrappers leading to a wardrobe. So Brian opens the wardrobe and he's like, oh, and there's this girl hiding in the wardrobe, and Graham is like, he wants, because he thinks she might be hungry, and says, I've got a cheese and pickle sandwich, because from like the Rosa Parks episode when there's like he couldn't get any food, he now makes sure he has this like his lunch with him, like a packed lunch with him whenever they leave the TARDIS. So he has cheese and pickle. I like cheese and pickle, that's my favourite. And so they're talking to the girl, and she's saying that this thing was after him and it took her dad, and the girl's name is Hannah, and the Doctor asks if she's blind, and Hannah is blind, and then Hannah thinks Dad would never he wouldn't just leave, and Yaz is sort of bonding with her and asking, and find out that Hannah's mum died, and when that happened, Hannah and her dad quit. Her dad quit work and they left Oslo to this cabin, and then she says the thing hunts at the same time every day. And I thought at the start point, I thought Ryan was being a bit harsh at first. That it's a bit harsh of Ryan, so I thought I was slightly out of character for Ryan. And then the dad boarded up the house, so Ryan and Yaz are investigating the storage sheds. And Yaz talks about how she had training to talk to people, and that you have to reinforce what makes them feel safe. So they find in the storage place shed, they find loads of animal traps, and so they run like back into the house, and Hannah starts saying, "It takes you away, it takes you away." So Graham is upstairs like looking round, and then he sees a mirror, and he also hears this sort of noise, and then he goes to investigate the mirror, but he hasn't got a reflection. Then Ryan comes up and is behind him and says, "We know if we were vampires, wouldn't we?" I thought that was cute, and it turns out that it's a portal, the mirror's a portal. And then the doctor's there and says, "Sonic," she does the Sonic, she says, "I love my Sonic." And then she says, she pushes herself into the mirror, pushes her head through and looks round, and she says, and then comes back out again, "Oh," and she says, gives it a 7 out of 10, and she's okay, but the mirror wheel gave her a bit of head wonk. And then the team and Hannah went, all Todd's team and Hannah went to come through the mirror with the doctor, but the doctor persuades Brian and Hannah to stay behind, and she writes a message to Ryan, but as she's writing the message, she says, "Right, I'm drawing a map of the house." So it's like to put Hannah off the scent of it being a message to Ryan. And then the doctor goes, the doctor and Graham go into the mirror world, and it's like a rocky tunnel, and with like sort of red lights, and I thought it felt a bit classic going with the tunnel. And then the doctor ties up some rope so they can find their way back out again, but the string doesn't look very secure. So they find someone, and it's a creature, and he calls Yaz Beard and Graham Codger, and this creature's called Ribbons of the Seven Stomachs, and it wants the Sonic, which it calls the Tubular. And the doctor says he can have the Sonic in return for some information and a lantern. And he says the doctor's got nice big boots, and the doctor says payment on delivery. And Yaz and Graham are unsure, and so they follow Ribbons because they think Ribbons will lead them to where they need to go. And we go back to the cabin, and Ryan is bonding with Hannah, and then we're back with Ribbons in the tunnel, and he designed these lanterns, and he eats brains. And then there's these flesh moths that climb, attracted to the lanterns and climb on the lanterns, and they eat meat and rats. And then we find out that Ribbons has cut the safety rope, so they're trapped in the tunnel. So then Ryan's outside goes outside the cabin and it finds speakers, and it's lots of speakers playing the sound of monsters. So, and then Ryan tries to get back in the house and Hannah knocks him out and she nicks the house keys off him. And then we're in tunnel again, and Ribbons grabs Graham, and Graham had some real funny lines in this episode. And then the flesh moths are coming to get them, and we find out it's an anti-zone universe, and it's a buffer zone. And these flesh moths swarm are coming, and Graham tackles Ribbons, and then they have to stay completely still, and then the moths start eating Ribbons, and then they make it through the portal, and it turns out they're in like the other side of the mirror world, and then Hannah goes through into the anti-zone and starts following the string, and the team are in this mirror world lounge, and they found the dad. It's called Eric, and the actor who plays dad is so fit. I do love a Scandi man. And turns out when he made the animal noises to keep Hannah in the house so she wouldn't go outside and be unsafe. And Hannah's mum is alive in this mirror world, and Eric wants to stay with his wife. And then we find out that Grace is there in mirror world. And then Hannah and Ryan are through the tunnel, and the lanterns, Ryan grabs the lantern, it's like a red balloon. So there's sort of discussion that perhaps Ribbons was the little girl from the Family of Blood adventure, and daughter of mine, because she had a red balloon, she wore a ribbon in her hair, and they thought that, and the doctor trapped her in the mirror, like so was trapped in a mirror. So I think maybe she did turn into Ribbons, and now she's sort of free of being trapped in the mirrors. I don't know. Well, and then Ryan's describing what the cave is like to Hannah, and he's telling the truth, and says there's loads of moths. So, and then in this mirror world garden, Grace is talking to Graham, and he's sort of testing her to say something about only Graham would know. And then she talks about the frog necklace that Graham and Ryan both bought Grace a frog necklace, and then the doctor says that it's not real and it can't be Grace and it's not Eric's wife, and the doctor is trying to figure it out, and the two worlds can't touch. That's the reason for the anti-zone, so the two worlds can't touch. And then she figures out that it's a Solitract, which is a story that one of her grannies, because she had 7 grannies, and Granny 5 was her favourite, and Granny 5 told her this sort of bedtime story. And it's all about the Solitract plane, and so she works out they're in the Solitract plane, and then she's wondering why it's done all this. And and then she figures out that it's trapping people, so it's made up, it's created like the people that the people miss, that Graham and Eric miss, so it's made them up. And so the Doctor tries to persuade Graham to go back through to the real world without Grace, and she wants Eric to go back through the real world, and the Doctor's saying, trying to get the Sonic to do something, and Yaz says, well, maybe you could reverse the polarity. So that was a good bit. And Graham is begging Grace to go with them, and Hannah gets through the portal, and she automatically knows that it's not really her mum. And then 5 people are over capacity in this solid track plane, so the solid track's collapsing, and Hannah can sense this, but the solid track was lonely. I wanted to be with these people. Yaz is pushed back into the portal by Hannah's mum, and Eric and Graham must reject Grace to save himself, and then Grace disappears, and then must persuade Eric. The solid track wants a whole universe because it's lonely, and the Doctor is offering herself up, and then Eric realises, and he gets like pushed back, and then the Doctor's into this in this white world, and with these triangle beams, and then there's a frog on a chair that talks like Grace. I love the frog on the chair. I thought it was really cool, and it's like very Douglas Adams too. I liked it, and I liked that it was a puppet and not CGI, because that's sort of what gave it charm to it. And the Doctor's saying goodbye and trying to destabilize the solid track, and she says that the solid track can be brilliant all by itself, and you can just dream of the Doctor, and that's kind of like us in a way, because we have the Doctor, but we have to dream of being with the Doctor and adventures with the Doctor, and that we can be brilliant. And then the team are in the tunnel, rush through the portal and out the mirror back into the real world. And then the Doctor's like a bit sad that she made a friend of her with a whole conscious universe, and then she had to say goodbye, so she was a little bit sad about that. And then so did Eric and Grace, and so Eric and Hannah are going to go back to Oslo. Hannah hugs Brian, and then and says, "Come on, Graham, she's probably off plotting." And then Brian and Graham are chatting about Grace, and Brian calls him Grandad, and it's like, and it's 10 out of 10. I really loved the episode. I loved the concept and everything. So here are my notes of this episode. I hope you have enjoyed this review video, and thank you for watching. Yay!